Also confirming they are still on for the opening of the window. And can we have that right camera at hot staging? Just saying.
That'd be great.
Yes, please, SpaceX.
Yes, please.
That would be great.
Please.
But yeah, I mean, just to finish up, to tie a bow, over the years, we have purchased property around Starbase. That is how we can do Starbase Live. That is how we have our 24/7 live stream cameras, and that is how we have so many awesome cameras for launch. This is a thing we thought about and anticipated years ago, and yeah, you guys are participating in the coming of fruition of all of our well-laid plans. We're mice and men, I guess. But for real, that is why we say things like the support means a lot to us, because we can't do this stuff. We can't buy property in the middle of nowhere in South Texas and gamble on it that in 5 years it'll be worthwhile without people supporting what we do. Just to name a few examples. So there you go.
Does Adrian, Loopy wants to know, at NASA Spaceflight, does the ship have a number stamped on it?
Nope. I don't know why they stopped that again. I liked it. Can they also do that can they make it bigger and put it on both vehicles? It would make tracking also way easier. So I don't know why they stopped that again, but no.
Yeah, I'm going to answer this one. Herman wants to know, at NASA Spaceflight, will Flight 9 catch the booster? I'm going to go ahead and answer this because I know everybody's in the back channel working. No, they have rolled everything is back at the production site. Ship 35, I hope, will go to a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean, and Booster 14-2 is targeting a lot of experiments with its engines and its reentry trajectory, and it is planning to, as SpaceX says, have a hard splashdown just off the coast in the Gulf. And so that's what's going to happen with these vehicles, and neither one of these are going back to the production site. There is a rumor that they might tow it if it survives the ship to Australia, but I wouldn't put too much stock in that. I think it's all about the telemetry and the data going forward. Adrian, would you agree?
I mean, I think there are some suspected ships that are being tracked that are like suspiciously around that potential area where the ship would splash down. So if they don't tow it, they might at least have a look at it, because these things can float. And also remember, even if they want to sink it and it doesn't sink, there's FAA paperwork that would allow them to sink a vehicle by assistance of a gunshot.
Yeah.
Yep. They would literally fire a rifle at a floating ship or booster to sink it.
If you have a keen eye at the Massey gun range, you may or may not have redacted. Yeah,
that's as bad as having a bleep button. Right?
Do with that what you will.
A redacted button. Mountain Monk asks the question: is this Pad B? No, they're still working on Pad B. You can see Pad B right there on your left, Tower 2. I want to point out, look at the chopsticks on Tower 2, and now look at the chopsticks on Tower 1. I would love to see them go for a simulated ship catch on the tower on Tower 2. They're open. That would be it'd be so awesome to see. And from this angle, we may or may not catch it. Redacted. There's a shot of Mission Control. Yak, are some of your friends in this picture?
Oh, it's Chris G.
I know that guy.
I love that guy. He's one of the best humans. I haven't seen him in way too long. Very cool.
Look at all the people behind him. There's Elon.
Yeah, it looks like Elon's in Mission Control at Starbase.
Who postponed, by the way, his talk earlier today. They're watching live coverage. One of those screens has NSF on it. You know it does.
I mean, honestly, that's not even a joke. It might have, because there is for sure somebody that monitors a lot of cameras, and if you get a lot of additional cameras of the additional angles, there's a good chance.
Can I point out one thing? Look at look at their screens. You cannot see them.
Oh,
yeah, they have
I think they have installed screens that are like, if you look at them from an angle, you cannot see what's in them. on the previous flight we were able to see the
Yep.
explosion of the Raptor
Oh, yeah.
on the replays,
Yeah.
right? I
It's
feel
that
like they have
that
changed
security
that.
film stuff you can
Yeah.
put on your screen so that it doesn't have any off-angle viewing.
It's like on the airplanes. Like the airplanes have a similar screen thing, right? Where you cannot see the screen from the guy on the left or the right or whatever.
They did that specifically. Look at the propellant load. As Adrian said, all 4 tanks are being loaded, 2 on the ship, 2 on the booster.
Hey there, guys. Come on. It's streaming. I hope it's not me. It's catching up. Hello. Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? It's streaming.
And I love it. And yes, somebody sent the question in that said, yeah, it was Nom 5 minutes ago at NASA Spaceflight. You guys have my dream job. So jealous. Nom, I'm going to tell you right now, I wish the camera was on me. Reach out. It doesn't matter what email address you use. We'll find a place. I can't say that. Talk to Chris B. He'll find a place. But we need your support. We really do. So thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for
If
sharing.
you have
Thank
a
for
skill
everything.
that you think is useful, send
Yes.
an email with a resume and some work samples to the relevant skill that you're saying you have, so that we know that
Yep.
you're telling the truth.
No joke.
That
Yeah.
is those are like all things that are, help your signal get above the noise.
Yep.
But also, just like the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Like we all do have amazing, cool jobs that we love, but like you can also have an amazing, cool job that you love that doesn't have.
Hey there, guys. I'm here with my stream here, and we're doing Starship. It's working great over here. This is a NASA spaceflight stream that I am just shooting it through my channel, and that's how I'm dealing with it. And I'm going to hand you guys off back to the stream. And make sure to chat in the chat and let me know how you like it.
And climbing up, and you're going to see it past those things that were the catch hardware that's built into this booster and ship. And again, I want to reiterate, they're not catching either. They already know we're not catching either booster or ship on this flight. But again, coming up on T-minus 20 minutes, you're watching live launch coverage from NASAspaceflight.com of Starship Flight 9. We are NSF, a group of nerds that just love doing this, and we thank that you're here.
So this
All
is
right.
the T-minus 20-minute vent, right, Alex?
It's
I'm kidding.
it's
Different rocket.
yeah. Boo.
Hey, I liked it.
No, the what you see there right there is basically the tank farm. I mean, the tank farm is just basically a huge amount of pipes. if you want to make it very simple, the tank farm is just a very, very, very complicated combination of pipes and like valves that condition a lot of things. So what you see there is a lot of surface area coming in contact with about minus 200 degrees liquid that then forms condensation, because you see condensation forming already on way warmer objects. Now imagine like minus 200 degrees. That's a lot of condensation. So that's what you see there. And the good thing is, shortly before liftoff, this condensation will reduce because the loading will stop.
That is good to hear. And by the way, those of you that are sending in support, please don't think we've forgotten you. It's just overwhelming. Those of you that are sending questions, same thing. It's just overwhelming.
Dawes has his tracking rig.
Yeah, I was talking about it earlier. This is what I was talking about with that support. Able to build things like this. He moves that. If you could just see, he moves it with a controller, a console controller.
That's probably like literally focused. The focus. Yeah, like focus on the controller.
That's cool.
When he tracks, I've stood right next to him and watched this. It's amazing. He is watching the camera. I'm watching the ship. The 33 engines turn. I love saying it. Turn into a single star as it goes uphill, as they say, as it goes up into the atmosphere. He is looking at this 6x9, 4x6 screen, and he's moving. He's slewing that camera. Is that a word that you
Yep,
use
that's the
in
word.
camera operation? He's slewing it, and he'll always tell you the ship starts out slow, then gets really fast, and then the booster comes back really fast, then gets slow again, and that's the hard part. And he is a master at keeping that as close to perfect as possible. But we also have our remote cameras and our other amazing photographers out there. Their eye is just, I'm just so jealous. And again, Jack, you're one of them. I own a picture that you took.
It's not about me, Gene. It's about the hardworking team that's out there right now. I have abdicated on this one, so I'm so excited to see everything that they make. It's going to be phenomenal. And to your point, it's not just about point camera. It's not just about move joystick. You also need to take things into consideration, like making sure your focus is right, making sure the rates on the motors on the robotic head, if that's what you're using, are dialed in. So when you need to move fast, it will move fast, and when you need to move slow, you don't get too jerky or too sudden or too much of a movement with a small input on the joystick. Like it's rockets, man. They're hard. They're hard to build. They're hard to fly. They're hard to not have explode at the wrong time, and they're hard to capture content of. But if it was easy, everybody would do it, and it would be way less fun.
That's exactly
I have
right.
some additional information. As of now, the SpaceX team is tracking no issues on today's countdown.
Yes.
Which is very, very good. That's what we
Awesome.
want to hear. They're just working down the checklist. And additional info, we talked earlier about them changing the hot staging, and you can already guess this based on the hot staging ring block placement we talked about earlier. But just as an additional info, the hot staging, after the hot staging, the booster will flipping up. So basically away from Earth up, and then will the boost back. So that's very similar to the movement it performed on Flight 5.
Even though, and I'm gonna. This is something I noticed. The blocked part of the hot.
So far, they're not tracking any issues. Let's hope this launch goes really well, and make sure to keep on chatting in the chat.
Actually facing north. We had some previous footage, so it does roll slightly. I'm looking for confirmation from anyone who knows what I'm talking about, because I could be completely wrong. Doesn't that mean that, because the hot stage roll is going to roll with it, doesn't that mean that the hot stage that's blocked is facing the TPS, which means it's going to go left according to the flight, according to with its flight, not up?
So
because that would go ahead.
The blocked part is on the right side of the. You can see it there right now, very good. Like it's not. It's basically just the middle of the TPS, and we will see exactly where the row program performs to, because that's also not 100% consistent all the time. But based on this information, the TPS would be facing the Earth now. But we will see how it actually looks. Also, SpaceX is absolutely expecting on this flight to stress the booster a lot, and that's what they have been underlying in the blog post as well. They expect a rough booster re-entry, and there might be, when they say rough, rough could mean a sudden loss of booster. Let's be real here, and that is 100% an option that could happen here.
Interesting. I know they're changing the return profile of the booster, but I thought because they're intentionally going to see if they can get it to slow it down with its own chines and cross section, body design, which is going to put more stress on it. So be looking for that if we get that.
It's always tricky, Gene, when you get to stage sep to choose, if you're a camera person or even with your own eyeballs, what to watch, what to stay with. Do you stay with ship or do you stay with booster? Now, normally on a catch, if there was a catch today, which there's not going to be, I think it's a pretty fair choice as someone in the vicinity to stay with booster. However, in this case, there's no catch, and the ship might explode before Seco. So it's going to be a tough call, I know, for anyone out there pointing cameras at this thing. But to your point, and to Adrian's point, SpaceX has repeatedly said they're going to be stressing this booster and really testing the heck out of it. So there's a fair chance that this thing just goes pop way up in the sky and looks really cool. And that's not the end of the world if that happens.
I
We're
want to
under
bring
10
Alex.
minutes!
Ah! Yeah, you're yelling. I love it. T-minus 9 minutes, 48 seconds. I want to bring Alex into this conversation real quick about the hot stage. SpaceX has said that in previous flights, the boost back flip, if you will, has just been random. Random is not something you think of
Flap
in space
testing.
flight.
Look at that. Look at the nose cone.
There goes the flap. Yep.
There we go. Right on time.
Beautiful.
Continue. So,
Do you
sorry.
think they're talking about a propellant, right? They're talking about, if we know where it's going, we can plan for the propellant. But they didn't know where it was going, and the booster was caught twice. Why do this?
well, because they want to be able to use as much propellant as they can during the ascent, because that means it pushes the ship a little bit more, and so the ship doesn't need to make to do as much of the work to reach orbit, and so that means more payload to space. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
That's always the goal. That's why they remove tiles to test the thermal protection system. The fewer of those they need for a ship surviving re-entry at peak heating, the more mass to orbit they can do. And that's always the goal. There was a question earlier about the ship getting there by itself without the booster. I don't know about that. I don't think so. But I don't know. They were talking about point to point earlier. There's a lot of stuff in the future that we have no idea is going to happen. We're coming up on 8.5 minutes, and I want to do another status check. I always ask Alex when we do other streams, like, where are we? Where is the ship? Where is the stage 0? What are they doing in the control room right now at coming up on T-minus 8 minutes?
Yeah, right now they are continuing to load propellant on both vehicles. They've transitioned to load propellant on the header tanks of the ship. Remember, those are going to be the ones that are going to be used for the relight experiment in space and also for the landing burn of the ship. So those are very important to be filled, of course. But we are very close to the end of that propellant load sequence. You can see the tanks are all mostly frosty already. That means they are very, very full. The ship will first be the one wrapping up that propellant load at T-minus 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Then the booster around 30 seconds later at T-minus 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And then it's just a waiting game of hoping for no holds at the T-minus 40-second gate, right? That's sort of their moment in the count where after the propellant is loaded, they do the final checks and everything. They arm the flight termination system and everything. They do a bunch of checks on the navigation systems and blah, 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 all the very active things. And then they hold at 40 seconds if things do not look good. But if they do look good, then they fly through that. They vent down the fluid interfaces with a quick disconnect arm, the quick disconnect for the booster. And so all of that will be prepared for liftoff, and hopefully we're going to get a liftoff hopefully in less than 7 minutes now. Really, really close to launch now. Heart racing.
Adrian, did you want to chime in?
No, I've just the moment Alex said less than 7 minutes from now, I was like, oh yeah, he's true.
Alex, let's take that one step further. Hang on, Jack. Let's take that one step further and talk about immediately after launch what folks can expect to see. Obviously, if you've seen one before, you know. If you haven't, it's going to be excitement guaranteed. Talk about the vehicles immediately at launch.
Yep. Right after liftoff, Starship will head out east over the Gulf. We'll reach supersonic and max Q around 1 minute after launch. Then we'll have most engines cut off around 2.5 minutes into flight. And then hopefully we're going to get through that hot staging and just, being able to see that ship head into space and complete its ascent burn, which it didn't on flights 7 and 8. And we are really hoping for that to occur this time around, and just getting also that amazing booster return that they're trying, a really hard return, I guess, with that entry profile at a higher angle of attack, and then also a really, weird booster landing burn profile that they're trying here.
A lot of things I think on this flight we haven't seen before, and I'm not talking ship flight 7, flight 8, because they are intentionally stressing these vehicles. We've talked earlier about the TPS, thermal protection system testing they're doing. We've talked about the engine tests. I'm really interested in this engine out test. You know, the way the engines are configured, if you don't know, there are 3 engines in the middle, then there's a ring of 10. And then there's an outer ring. The outer ring doesn't gimbal. The inner ring does. They're specifically going to cut on the booster. Is it landing burn? Landing burn. One center engine, and see what happens to the outer 10 if they can compensate. Right, Adrian?
Yeah, absolutely. They are basically stressing, hey, by the way, what if we lose one of these 3 very crucial engines, can we compensate? Can we still land? And that is important because once you get that engine out capability, well, there you go. That's another redundance. That's another chance to increase your chance of a successful catch. By the way, SpaceX was final system checks, and they are basically performing a complete rundown of everything that these vehicles have to do. We saw some flap testing earlier. Everything is basically moving, gimbaling, checking, and once this is all checked, there you go.
And we are under T-minus 4 minutes. Remember, there is a T-minus 40-second hold. We want them to blast right through it, and we are all just... This is the moment where it's like pins and needles, right? I'm usually running from this point up the stairs to the roof of the Margaritaville where Doss and Gage are, and every time I go up there, my comms fail, so all I got to do is watch. This time around, we're going to listen to these amazing microphones. We're going to listen to the sounds of these 33 Raptor engines. And I mean, you can't see Jack right now. I can see Jack. We are all on pins and needles. Go, Adrian.
And at this point, at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, ship propellant load should have been completed, which means the upper stage should be fully loaded. By the way, I love that I have cameras of everybody because I can see some anxiety from certain people here building up. It's funny.
Hey. Stop it.
Yeah, this is the moment I just get so excited.
Yep, and there's tower vent. I'm sorry, it's so much happening. There's tower vent. Tower vent return means ship loading is complete.
So the ship's full.
Yes.
All right.
And go ahead.
No, I'm just excited. The ship's full of propellant.
Propellant load is complete. And right now they're getting things ready to go. T-minus 2.5 minutes, guys. 2.5 minutes. Oh, this is the moment.
They still have some propellant to go on the booster, but the ship is fully loaded.
No, actually, they should have not anymore. The booster should be fully loaded at this point, and we should see the OLM spool up any second now again as the booster is done. But in theory, we should be done. But we are also getting confirmation that SpaceX will take the optional hold and might look at some more things. This is not anything bad. That can happen. We have seen launches in the past where this happened. But SpaceX will take the hold at T-minus 40 seconds and check out some additional things.
So when you see the clock in the upper left-hand corner count down, it is going to stop at T-minus 40 seconds, as we just said, as we approach T-minus 1 minute. This is normal. They have this option, and we talked about it earlier about how long they can hold. The sheer massive propellant in the booster and the ship help keep the cryogenic propellant cold. They do have some time, and again, this is the moment when they're in the control room and they're doing these checkouts of the ship. They're looking. They want to make sure everything is green as possible before they send this thing uphill and hopefully all the way to a safe splashdown in the Indian Ocean as we come up to T-minus 1 minute. Go, Adrian.
Yeah, it sounds like they're using this hold T-minus 40 to do additional checkouts of boosters Raptors. So again, 29 of these Raptors are going to be flying for a second time. You might want to make extra sure that they're going to be good to go in the final moments leading up to launch, which we're coming up 10 seconds away from that 40-second hold. We will see, 28 for a second time.
Yep.
1 for a third time. Thank you, Adrian.
Which is awesome.
I appreciate being nitpicked in that way because I would do it to you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely you would.
So we're in a hold now. We're in a hold. That's fine. Starship is not like Falcon 9. As we've said, it does use sort of densified propellants a little bit, but it's not the same as Falcon 9. There's so much propellant mass. There's so much volume there that they have a little bit more time before they can before things start to warm up to a point where they have to recycle, right?
Yeah.
So keep your eye.
there's the T minus 40 seconds
Yeah.
Optional hold that is taken.
Yeah, and as of right now, the vehicle and the ship, they're fully loaded. They're doing those final checkouts, and this is really important for those Raptors because they're eventually going to go to 35, and we want to make sure. I mean, they got to make sure, like
Well,
you said, 28 of these are flown twice. Go ahead, Alex.
We'll see if they reach 35. I want to say one thing though: be on the lookout because if they clear the hold, it can be very quickly. Remember, it's 40
Yes.
seconds, right? Be on the lookout because sometimes the information from SpaceX might be delayed. Even 10 seconds of delay, that's already a quarter of the way to T0, right? So we
Yeah.
should be on the lookout as well for what is happening at the launch pad. If we hear certain vents or the
Yep.
detonation suppression
deluge.
system activating and things like that, that is an indication that they have cleared, right? And so just making sure, because 40 seconds might seem like an eternity, but it's very quickly.
It's
And-
a very certain vent we are here. Like I'm sure
Yeah,
Alex
yeah.
is listening for right now, and I'm
is
listening
rolling.
for it now. Yep.
Clock is
Clock
moving.
is rolling.
Here we go.
Good luck.
There we go.
Guys.
God.
T minus 30 seconds.
Make sure to chat in the chat, guys, if you're viewing right now.
Up there. Go for launch.
Hold.
Yep.
They're
Water
holding.
deluge. Yep.
Yep.
All right, no big deal. Again,
So
they
do they-
have
so-
the ability to hold a little bit.
Yeah. So do they recycle? Here's a question: do they recycle it back to the T40?
If it is before deluge activation, yes. If not, then that will be the S word, but I'm not going to say it.
Right. It does look like the deluge has not
And it
activated.
doesn't.
Obviously, we can see it.
It doesn't look like it activated, so they could still try today again.
Did
Okay.
the detonation
So-
suppression system activate?
Yeah, but they have multiple tries for that one.
Okay,
It's
they have multiple charges of that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In theory, they should be able to be good with that.
So again, you're watching live launch coverage of Starship Flight 9. Both booster and ship are fully loaded. They held at 40 seconds. The clock continued to move,
They're go.
and
Ground site issue.
we are awaiting the activation of the water deluge system and the fire suppression system underneath the OLM.
They have they're working on a whatever that exactly means, but they're working on a ground side issue. That could be, for example, I'm just spilling things here. Like, for example, the ground side of the Raptor start. Because they ground side start some of the Raptors. That could be one of the ground side issues here. It could be some last minute of the QD issues. That's the kind of ground side things we are talking about here. That could be potentially an issue here, but we are probably getting more information at some point.
Remember
But,
to breathe, everyone.
I
Please
thank you for
remember
that. Yeah, thank you for that.
my face is turning red. Remember,
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say SpaceX calls the ground support equipment stage 0. And it's just as important that work every time 100% the way we want it to. That is just as rapidly reusable going forward as the ship and the booster itself. So this is very important as they look at this issue. This is not a ship issue. This is not a booster issue. This is a stage 0.
This is such a gross oversimplification, but if you've ever made a model rocket and set it off, but it doesn't go off the little launch pad thing, right? And
Yeah.
kind of just goes sideways or just sits there and doesn't do anything, and the parachute pops out all sad. Like, you don't want that. You want the ground support equipment to work properly.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been to a 4th of July or have seen a firework that you hit the launch button or light the fuse disappears, and you're sitting there like, uh-oh, now what? Do we walk up to it? So they're working these issues, and we are just like you on the edge of our seats. We are waiting for word from SpaceX that they're going to recycle to a 40-second hold. They have some time, or keep going. We're looking for
What do
the
we
fire
have?
suppression system and the deluge system. Go ahead, Jack.
What do we have left in the window? Like 55 minutes? How long is the window, Adrian?
but now
We
that-
have. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, but now that they have loaded propellant, the hold time is like 15, 20 minutes. It's not that long.
Got it. Oh, wow.
They're
Is
still
this the-
looking at all of the systems and everything.
Is this the longest they've ever
It's-
held in a Starship count? Maybe?
No.
Maybe only because
we
I'm
had
always
like
in the field.
we had like a 10-minute hold somewhere. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember, but I think we are in one of the earlier flights we had like a 10-minute or so hold. And again, they have.
Watch the bottom part of the stack.
There it is.
There it is.
See fire suppression.
There it is. Watch for the deluge.
Oh my god, here we go.
Yes. You can see 33 healthy Raptor engines as Flight 9 takes off and it's on its way uphill. A beautiful launch, guys. Absolutely amazing audio. As we are through max Q and approaching stage separation, keep your eye on it. You'll see the stage separation through the amazing tracking. Is this DOS? I'm assuming this is DOS with his amazing tracking rig.
Based on the
It's-
angle, I think it's either DOS or Gauge. I'm not sure. I would be
You're
willing to
gonna see
wager
it.
DOS. But you're right, Gene. 33 healthy Raptor engines. That's so important to point out, as so many of these are being reused. And that's the first thing I noticed on liftoff. They look good. I see a bright circle there with no dim spots.
What you're
But
going
the
to see
big
now is
tickets
most...
items are coming. The big
They're coming
ticket
up.
items are
Mike-
still coming.
You might notice the rocket is in a different attitude now.
Mm-hmm.
It has rolled for the hot staging and the directional flip.
Here we go.
There's
Watch out for
most
that.
engines cut off.
There we go.
SpaceX stream a little delayed. It's fine.
Yep.
There it
There's
is.
Miko.
Wow, you could even see them throttled down before Miko. That was cool.
There's
Hot
stage
staging.
sep.
There's the flip.
Oh, that
Look at
goes
that.
up. There goes up.
Oh,
It goes
yes!
It is going up.
That's beautiful.
And goodbye, booster.
Also,
Booster
like we got
6 healthy
six-
engines on.
I-
Yep.
Yeah, I was
13
gonna
for
say,
the boost back as well.
13 healthy engines for boost back. Guys, this is going to be a rough ride for Booster 14-2. Just pay attention. We look.
Engine bay cam.
Yes.
Yes.
Healthy engines taking
Wait,
Starship.
Did they label the Raptors without serial numbers, but with what engine number they are?
No, they have
Yeah.
both. They have
Okay.
both.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
We come back to our tracking of the boosters. It's come down. Now,
Okay.
this is going to be a steeper trajectory or less
Boost back
steep?
burn. That looked like shutdown of the
Yep.
boost back burn.
It did.
There
Again-
goes the hot stationary. Look at that.
They're going to be testing this booster like crazy, so we might see some fireworks as it comes down and hits the atmosphere. We don't know what to expect. SpaceX hasn't really done anything like this with a booster since they started catching them, or maybe even at all. So all eyes are on Booster 14-2 right now, slowly heading toward its noble demise, but hopefully providing some awesome data in the process.
I'm really interested
also-
to see the engine out test.
And we also keep an eye on the ship. Don't worry.
Yes.
Like we have
Yeah.
everything here monitored. And again, the ship issues the last time happened after the booster both did their touchdown. So basically, the moment this booster is out of frame is when we put every attention we have on that ship.
Right. What was the timing of the anomalies on 7 and 8? Was it like 7 or 8 minutes into flight, or am my
It's-
brain just broken?
It's like right after touchdown. It's like 8 minutes ish. Like every time people start celebrating on the stream, Alex and I went like, but
Yeah.
Ooh, hot staging ring. Check that out.
yeah, it's so cool.
You can distinctly see it separate from the booster. So Kerbal. I mean, booster looks fine so far, right? So far.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not in the atmospheric, like really where it will do some crazy atmospheric things.
Right. Also, please ship 35 do good. Please ship 35 do
please.
good.
Come on, 35.
Come on, 35. Come on,
Ah, here comes the
14-2.
booster. Okay. You can see the back end. Those are vents. Those are purge vents, right?
Yeah,
You see from the bottom of the booster.
the fact that this booster's still in frame, by the way, is remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back to the ship.
Now that's the big
Back to
ticket.
the ship.
We knew
Yep.
that could happen with
Yep.
the booster. Don't panic about this. Don't like this was expected. This is the big ticket item.
Six engines.
How are we looking so far? I see 6, yeah.
Plus,
I-
plus
yeah.
6 minutes, 50 seconds.
I will mention some vents we have seen inside of the engine bay that are, but they could be part of the new purge system that is placed in the attic to also like protect the section there. So so far, I would say,
Oh, finally, the speed.
yeah. Thank
Now,
you.
I want to preface one thing, okay? If you see the vacuum raptors shutting down while the sailors are still ongoing, that is the planned shutdown sequence for Seco, okay? It's just that, flights 7 and 8, that was not to plan, right? The plan will be to shut down first the vacuum engines, leaving the center engines running for a few more seconds. Roughly 30 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, is what we should see. So,
And that's-
everybody,
that's the
Can we just point
breeze.
out that Raptor is burning right now? Like, all 6 Raptors
Yes.
are burning. You just can't
Yes.
see the plume because methane burns so clean.
Yep.
Yeah, and also want to point out this shutdown sequence that Alex just mentioned is exactly what they have also simulated on their on the test stand with the long duration fire.
Yep. We've seen a lot of that testing at McGregor.
And
Beautiful,
so far,
beautiful footage.
we are exactly at the area where it gets spicy, but we are not that far away from Seco anymore.
hold
My
on,
pulse
ship
like is,
25.
Come on,
There's a
35,
hot
you can do it.
spot. Looks like there's
Yeah,
a
there's
hot
a bit of a hot
spot.
spot there.
Oh, no.
You see that?
Okay,
Yes.
terminal guidance. Shipping's in terminal guidance. It's adjusting its final
Is that a little
few
bit of
seconds of the burn.
Is that- Flame from
I
the
saw that
attic?
too at the very top. Yep. Oh, come
There's a
on.
bit of flame. Come on, ship, pull through.
You're
Oh,
so
no.
close, buddy.
Oh,
You're
God.
so close, 35. Come on, buddy.
This stress is killing me.
Should be close to Arvac. Shut down, given the previous ships.
Good.
There we
There's
go.
Our rig shut down. Our rig shut down.
Okay. 1,000
bit more,
kilometers
dude.
per hour away from Seco.
You can do
Come
it.
on, buddy.
Now purge the stew out of it.
Come on,
Yes.
buddy.
Be chill. Just be chill. You
close?
have it.
Come on.
I think they got it.
And
Yes.
Yes!
ship engine cut off!
Let's go.
Oh,
They
my
did it.
Gosh.
I'm
Yes.
seeing additional hot spots, but who cares? They got to Seco.
Yes.
Oh!
I'm. Give me a second. I need to release some things
That's
here.
amazing. That's
Adrian.
absolutely amazing.
Oh,
Whoa!
Okay,
you see
Coast
that?
face now.
Look at that. There looks like there's some interaction between some of the ice that's being shed. It's like getting
Yeah,
sucked back
there's-
into the.
There are vents at the bottom of the aft.
Is it tumbling, or do you think it's reorienting?
there's a lot of venting going
There's
on.
only one way to find out.
Real.
Yeah.
What a beautiful machine. I'm so glad they got through Seco. I'm sure they got tons of really valuable data. I really want
Yes.
to know what some of those things we saw were. What's that red stripe on the side? Is that fine? That's fine, right? That's probably just gap fill for the TPS or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, I'm gonna say it's fine.
Yeah, one of the
know.
things to take also into account when these ships fly, right, 100 tons of propellant. So they have still leftover, not 100 tons of propellant, 100 tons of cargo. So they still have leftover propellant, and what they're doing right now is dumping that, right? And so that's a similar thing that we've seen in previous flights, and those vents at the bottom, for example, that we saw venting, those are normal. They are in fact there.
Just saw
as
achieved,
sort of a-
carried through across all of our sites.
Heck, SG.
What an incredible view to see Starship back orbiting the Earth just under 11 minutes into our mission. Absolutely exciting to see all of this, and super pumped especially to see all of the team's hard work in action here today. As guaranteed, it has been an exciting evening so far for Starship's 9th test flight. We lifted off a little bit after 6:30 p.m. after a couple of holds that were triggered at the T-minus 40-second mark, but we were able to clear those, one on the Raptor, one on the tower, and we were able to lift off successfully from Starbase. 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on the Super Heavy, all 6 engines lit on ship, bringing it to its planned suborbital trajectory around Earth. But as Dan said, we've got a lot still coming up in our flight sequence. So coming up at about T plus 18 minutes, 26 seconds, we'll have the first deployment of simulated Starlink satellites planned from Starship. That will be followed at about T plus 37 minutes and 49 seconds by the relight of a single Raptor sea level engine in space. This is going to help us gather data on our ability to do a deorbit burn for future Starship missions that will go orbital. And then, of course, one of the biggest tests yet to come is the new heat shield modifications to Starship. And that'll start with re-entry into Earth's atmosphere at about the T plus 45 minute mark, which should take about 18 minutes to complete. And now today's reentry is going to test that heat shield like we said, specifically how Starship will hold up to 100 missing heat shield tiles on its protection system. Now, we purposely took those 100 tiles off over very critical areas of the vehicle to be able to safely test on a flight like this suborbital trajectory into the Indian Ocean what might happen on an operational flight in those areas if we were to lose the primary heat shield tile over Starship. So very critical test coming up. And then after that, we'll have the final descent where we will again be pushing Starship to its limits. We definitely pushed the booster to its limits today to gather data, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing on that ship, seeing how the ship handles various flight conditions that we will need it to fly in as we look to one day soon bring ships back to Starbase for catch and reuse. Now, while there are payload simulators on Starship for deployment today, as we will see in a few minutes, the primary data and the primary payload for today is the data. And today, just like with Starship's previous test flights, that data is coming to us courtesy of our Starlink network. In fact, it is from Starlink that you wonderful views of ship in space right now. So, and I can't wait to see Starlink really provide those epic views and that data transmission during reentry, which is very, very critical to getting that data during reentry. So, Dan and Jesse, it's been an exciting day so far. There's more to come. As we get ready for Starship's first ever payload deploy, what can we expect next here in the next few minutes?
Wow. What a great update from Chris.
This
G.
view, is that from the FTS box? The flight termination system box?
It might be.
It looked like it was looking up, right?
Whoa.
Look at those colors.
Is that,
it's going
is that
into
plasma?
No, that's sunset.
Sunset.
It's going into sunset now.
What a... I know I keep saying this. What a gorgeous machine.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad it made it. It made it!
Yeah, absolutely.
So do we think
I
it's
love-
going to make it through entry?
I said it again. Like probably
100
some.
missing tiles?
Well, it's now on a path. At least the whole thing is
Mm-hmm.
whether it survives afterward.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. He said it was very critical because in case they lose heat shield tile at a critical point on the ship, that tells me this is a test of they want to see if it can make it or not. I mean, it's 50 point, right?
I mean,
I don't.
you got to figure if you have a crewed vehicle like a starship coming back in. Oh,
Hey,
payload
look at that!
previews!
Yes, I wanted this. I wanted this for the deployment.
Please,
Yes.
please show us the door open and the
Oh.
payload deploy, please.
Okay, door off to left, door off to right. We're door below us.
Below us, I think. I'm not
Door
sure.
below us. I don't know
I'm
either.
actually not. No, I don't know. I can't tell.
I think door below us because look at the rails, the feeding rails.
I think it was to the
That's
right or to the
beautiful.
left. I'm not sure. Either way, to complete the thought, if you had a crewed vehicle and you're coming back in and you're missing tiles, and you know you're missing tiles, you probably want to know exactly how many you can miss while still being safe, and you probably want to know exactly where you can miss
Yes.
them. Like, what if you miss one on this weld line? What if you miss one on this boring, bland, not important tank wall side? Like, all of that stuff is very important data.
It's
And,
funny. That on the right is a COPV, I think.
oh yeah, you're right. That is a COPV.
Because you can see like, the
100%.
carbon fiber.
Yeah,
There's
composite
no
overwrap
banana
pressure
scale.
vessel.
And you're seeing the Starlink simulators. I wonder if they're going to show us them going bink, bink.
I hope
bink.
so.
That would be so awesome. Truly pesticide. Well done, SpaceX.
Can I-
Yes, this is what we wanted.
Can I have a few words of like, finally, we see the interior of the
Yes.
V2 Noscon, right? So much speculation of like, how does this look like and everything. And also you can see there's a lot of stuff floating around.
Yeah.
So it's probably a little bit pressurized, if not entirely pressurized.
Yeah, I bet when they open the door, we'll see all of this get sucked out.
Oh,
Blown
it's
out.
gonna be so cool.
Yeah,
I
cool.
will get a bit of ahead of myself here because I know we are still in flight, but I will still say, no matter what happens next, well done, SpaceX team, because this is an improvement. No matter what
Progress.
comes next, well done.
Absolutely. Progress, like Alex said. This is exactly what we all wanted to see. Is we wanted to see the ship get through SECO. We wanted to see them gather more data so they can start launching starships more, start putting up these full-size Starlink V3s, start getting more people internet in places where the telecom companies will take your tax dollars but not lay fiber for some stupid reason. Like, we want to live as a multiplanetary society, and now we're one step closer instead of just having had another RUD. Like, this is awesome. This is what we all wanted. It's like we all just got to open
Love
a
it.
giant space present on Space Christmas. Or Space Hanukkah.
Space- There you go. There's another shirt. Oh, I
Let's see,
absolutely
'cause
love it.
They
This is
just
an-
said that they were going to be opening the payload.
Yeah, like they're looking. We're just a couple minutes away in the
It
deployment.
looks like the payload bay door was going to open it completely, so they're going to be closing it. So
Dang.
Oh.
Starlinks
That's
are going to be there.
That's okay.
yeah.
It's
You know
okay.
what? That's good
They're
data.
learning.
That
That's
data
right.
says, hey, build a better door.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's important
Yeah.
data. It's very simple data, but it's very important data.
You know, just going to say one thing. You know the whole thing of best part is no part? Just watch them fly with no door.
Best doors, no door.
Oh no. Okay, I have
Alright.
something to tell you here. NSF is actually responsible for this flight being a success. Because, listen out to me here. Every time we put something on the patch, the opposite happens. So this time, we prepared a patch where the ship explodes, so it doesn't. I'm not even joking. This patch is now available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. You can order it until the end of the week.
Wait,
it's
seriously?
just a limited run.
Yeah.
The extra secret shop. This is the patch. We are making this patch.
This isn't like a meme, like a joke
No.
that you just...
No,
This is-
we are making this patch.
Oh, I gotta go. Don't talk to me. I'm gonna buy this.
Yeah, this is an actual patch, the NSF Shrug patch, because every time we put something on these patches, the opposite happens.
Oh
So
my god, it's at
why
the top
not...
of the shop.
Yep.
Purchased. I got mine coming.
And there's more. If you go to the Starbase collection, if you don't mind, friendly producer, there, exactly that. There's 2 more designs I want to show out. So I'm a gamer, right? I love achievements, and you can also get the achievement unlocked. Didn't blow up. Ship 35 T-shirt now.
What? Purchased.
And there's also another one, the I Made Seiko 3rd Times the Charm, also available in orange. So there you go, that's our shop update to celebrate this. Again, the patch is limited because we need to order it at some point. It's a pre-order, it will ship in July, but I take some credit for this working because we jinxed it successfully. There you go.
Wow.
Live on stream purchases. I love it.
I cannot believe you guys did. You mad lads. Just another way you can support what we do. Also, I'm sure the team out in the field is working on metal prints. So if you have a cart, maybe wait a couple minutes and get a metal print too. Or just have 2 cards. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to
The panel's about to break again. The panel's about to break. I think it already has, actually.
I love this so much. The shruggy guy. I love the little shruggy guy. Everything is perfect about it. Like, great job. Great job.
So, guys, I've got to do my job here. You're watching live launch coverage from NSF. NASAspaceflight.com. Starship Flight 9 got through stage engine, second engine cutoff. However, apparently there was an issue with the door, right, Alex? There was an issue with the door. They tried to get it open, and apparently they're just closing it. Okay, go ahead, Alex.
I don't know if you're looking at this view that we have on the right-hand side.
Yeah, what's that view on the right, Alex?
But you may see there are some clouds, some palm trees. That's actually from the Keys.
You sent a camera to the Keys?
Yeah, to the Florida Keys. That was Julia, apparently, from what we're being told in the back channel, to see if, we saw something, either lots of streaks or just one single dot. But I'm thinking that maybe the clouds got in the way.
That looks like the clouds might have interfered. Also, the ship didn't explode before Seiko, so nothing for Julia to capture. But we did send Julia to the Keys just in case.
She could have, if it wasn't that cloudy. That was also the other option, right? That we're not sending people because it's gonna blow up or whatever. But you can get an amazing jellyfish of Starship. Who doesn't want that?
I want it. Stupid
I want to see that
clouds.
too.
Somebody play the video of me yelling at clouds from Starbase Update like 2 years ago. Stupid clouds. But seriously, Julia rolled out for us to provide an additional angle. So thank you to her for that, and just yet another way how we try to up our game every single launch. We're always trying to bring you guys new angles and new ways to cover things, new ways to see ships hopefully not explode. You know the deal. You know the drill.
So, thank you, Julia, and the rest of our team. Amazing work and great job, SpaceX. You can see them still in their mission control. Question, Alex or Adrian, whoever wants to take this one. We didn't do we don't have to worry about anything happening during reentry. When are we looking for that in-flight, on-orbit, or in-space relight? What was the timeline for that?
So the current plan for the in-flight space relight demo would be at 37 minutes and 49 seconds.
So about 14 minutes from now. Ooh.
Hey, there's the top of the Margaritaville.
Hello.
We've got
Hi,
Ross,
all.
Gage, and D. Hey, guys. You look fantastic. Great tracking. It was great.
They look all very like they are just roasted by the sun.
Getting plenty of sunshine. They're talking amongst themselves.
I think they think we can hear them, but we can't.
No.
Can
Go
chat
do
hear
more
them?
work.
We love you. Thank you for all the hard work.
You guys are awesome.
We can't hear you. Hopefully, chat can hear you. D is going to show the rack now. And all of the equipment that they have to haul up to the roof.
which is actually quite hard to do.
It is.
I've done it many
Especially-
times.
It's
It sucks.
now we're getting into the summertime, which really, like, if you've ever been on the roof of anything in the summer, let alone a hotel on the beach, then you know being on the roof is no joke. Oh, we got a thumbs up at the end too.
Awesome. Ship 35 in its coast phase. We're waiting on an official report of what happened to Booster 14-2. I saw a relight, but
It looked like it blew up when it relayed.
Yeah, I think it had too much. So again, it was an experiment, and we are all like, nobody here I think is bummed right now, right? Like,
no.
Yeah.
this was potentially going to happen. This is what they wanted to test. They wanted to test the limit, and spoiler, they found one. Yeah.
Sorry about me walking out a moment there, but I had to go fix some things up in my little studio here. But it's going pretty well here. And the live stream I did on the observing, just to let you guys know, here it's cloudy just like they said in the video there. Same thing here, couldn't see anything. And maybe next weekend I'm going to try again for that observing live stream. Make sure to try to view it if you can.
Well, here we go. The trajectory, but we do have the timeline. Of course, here, 8 minutes, 56 seconds place. That was a very nice thing to see. But let's move the timeline forwards, and let's move towards... Whoa, nearly falling over here. Let's move towards something that isn't happening, the Starlink demo deployment. I'm going to move that cabinet out of the way for the next flight. You can be rest assured of that. But something we do have coming up is the Raptor in-space relight demo. That's coming up at approximately 40 minutes into flight here. That's actually scheduled for 21 seconds later than it was for the last flight. Of course, the last flight didn't actually get to that point, but an interesting note with the timeline. So that's coming up at 40 minutes into flight approximately. And then as we move onwards, we're of course going to get to the re-entry of the Starship. Entry interface should be occurring approximately 30 seconds later than they thought it would be doing on the previous flight. However, this is where things start to get interesting, because the next event, that's when Starship is transonic. That's only 6 seconds later. So this timeline is actually a little bit more spicy on the ship side of things. That's just passing over an hour and 3 minutes there into flight. We're then going to go through the supersonic regime. Transonic will then be subsonic again 6 minutes later than the previous flight. And if I pause it here again, only 5 seconds later for the landing flip. This is 1 hour, 6 minutes and 11 seconds into flight here for the ship. And then, of course, we will get, fingers crossed, if we make it through re-entry, a exciting landing. That burn starting 10 seconds earlier than was planned on the previous flight, and then splashdown occurring 12 seconds later than was 1 hour, 6 minutes and 38 seconds after leaving Starbase. Fingers crossed the ship should make it to the Indian Ocean. And one more thing just to check out very quickly, where actually will the ship be landing? Let's take a look at the re-entry zone here. Leaving Australia, this is the Indian Ocean. We of course have our airspace closures for Madagascar, Mauritius and Australian airspace. The ship will be coming from Africa over, clipping the south of Madagascar and then slowly coasting. We'll start re-entry around this area here. This is where we'll start to see plasma generating on the belly of Starship. It will then re-enter the atmosphere, and hopefully, if it's in the same location as the previous flights, we will see a soft splashdown, or at least a splashdown, around this area here in Australian airspace.
Thank you, Ryan, for that. We have a breaking news update.
Yeah, so it's not. I'm not sounding the big alarm yet. I've like multiple alarms. I'm pushing the medium sized alarm. The ship is definitely giving me a bit of like 28 vibes. It's quite spinny on overall, and that's not what I like to super see.
Look at the bottom right. We're talking
indicator.
about the attitude indicator there. There you go. Thank you, Kevin. That attitude indicator. I mean, maybe it's just doing a barbecue roll. It's just doing like a thermal management.
Oh, can we go full screen? There we go. That's
or maybe
ship
it's
28
tumbling out of
vibes.
control.
It's sort of Actually, more like Ship 34, but without the engines.
It's interesting
it's gonna be an interesting re-entry.
they're not.
Let's say that.
It doesn't look like they're able to get stable video off of it, perhaps because of attitude control issues. Clearly speculating here. I'm speculating just based on a graphic, but like that, and then the ship will roll to a point where the dish can no longer have a connection, and then they lose it again. That's what it seems like, anyways.
Who would have thought that Block 2 will repeat the same 3 first flights of Block 1?
So I have a question. We saw a clean engine shutdown sequence. At least it looked like that from the telemetry we were getting. What would the venting have caused this? I'm trying to figure out what forces on this vehicle would have caused it to do this.
A vent could have frozen and stuck open.
Yeah,
that's possible. Has that happened on a previous flight? That sounds vaguely familiar to me. It could be something completely different.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's also like I'm playing the optimist here. Like there's also
a
potential.
little bit of a spin. We did spring a leak in some of the fuel tank systems inside of Starship, which a lot of those are used for your attitude control. And so at this point, we've essentially lost our attitude control with Starship. We are still on a path toward re-entry. We are suborbital, so no matter what, we are going to enter. However, this lowers the chances for it to be a controlled re-entry. So if you think back to Flight 3, when we had something similar happen, just the end symptom of a loss of attitude control, we were in a roll by the time we hit re-entry. So we are going to re-enter. We should hopefully still have views. The Starlink satellites are pretty robust to still maintaining contact. We've got 4 of those terminals on the vehicle, and they're pretty robust to maintaining contact even when we are in a spin, essentially. So we should hopefully continue to keep live views. It's going to still be dark until we get a little bit closer to entry, as we are a little bit, we're coming up on Africa. I believe we do swing just to the south of that continent. And by the time we start heading out over the Indian Ocean, we'll start heading into a sunrise. So, not looking great with a lot of our on-orbit objectives for today, where we were hoping to do the PEZ deploy and relight an engine, and then really importantly get into that controlled entry to really put the heat shield through the ringer. Nonetheless, Starship marching forward towards that re-entry over the Indian Ocean, so we'll continue to hang with it and give you any updates as things continue to change.
So we got through SECO. I'm trying to be really positive here. They are getting data. We made it through second engine cutoff. And, like Jack said earlier, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Oh God, the patch release jinxed it.
So there's a patch.
No, it didn't. Yeah. It didn't. It didn't. Don't say that.
No, to your point, Gene. We all, I think, if you go back and watch the coverage from today and in the lead up to this mission, I think we've hammered home over and over again that the main goal is getting through SECO. The most important data is getting through SECO. Second most probably is the reentry data, which they're not going to get, which is not great, to be sure.
They're going to get some.
But it's what did we say on this very stream right when we got to SECO? We said,
Yay.
they did it. Yay! They got it.
Yeah.
Progress is, I believe, the exact word that Alex used. Progress has been made. We can be plenty forgiving of progress that's made that's not as much as fast as we want. And we can be plenty grumpy when no progress is made or when seemingly a regression has happened. But today, progress has been made. Granted, it seems like this is Flight 3, number 2, Electric Boogaloo. But
Yeah.
fact of the matter is, they got through SECO. Hopefully they can do it again on Flight 10 and prove that it wasn't a fluke. And, furthermore, get that precious reentry data. Also, we're working on replays.
I know.
We are working on replays of launch, so if you want more launch footage in your eyeballs, stay tuned. Plus, also, hopefully we get some plasma on the ship.
There must be at least 2 teams right now at SpaceX that must be a little bit upset about this flight, namely the heat shield teams and also the I guess it would be the build. Well, the Starlink teams as well.
So 3 teams.
I was thinking, because of the leak in the fuel system and whatever that they have just mentioned, I will have to carefully look back at, what exactly they mentioned. But it sounded like, they had some issues with the attitude control, with the fuel system and everything. And so they are,
We have a question from Eric in our back channel that I'm just going to say out loud. Why does it seem like it's going through clouds at 156 kilometers of altitude? What are we looking at? Like, what is going on?
I'm going to guess venting from that leak.
It all should be moving the same, yeah.
But wait, so where is this camera? This camera's on near the tip of the nose cone, right? Okay, it's on the flap. Yeah, okay, so it's on the flap.
Down.
Where would that venting be from? The header?
No idea.
Like, we're looking down at the rest of the ship, functionally. So if that cloud material that we're seeing is coming from the vehicle itself, where?
The other side of the ship? That we can't see.
Is it just...
Remember, the tanks are huge, so they have a lot to vent if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I wonder if that's... We're too early for plasma, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you go low enough, you might have some plasma interaction still. Crispy will probably be yelling already at me, shuttle, because it's true that on some missions they did some testing at low altitudes. There we go.
It looks like
those flaps moving for entry.
Yeah.
In seconds into today's flight tests, you're seeing some flap movement here on the ship. If you've been following along, we have essentially lost attitude control on the ship at this point. It is suborbital, so it's still headed to the exact same trajectory as before. We were not able to get that payload door open and deploy those nose cones. We've been dealing with some leaks on the ship. This is also what led to that loss of attitude control. So at this point, we are kind of in a spin, and we are also going to be skipping that Raptor relight. If you've followed through the history of Starship, something similar happened, different cause but same symptom, back on Flight 3, where we weren't able to maintain attitude control in orbit. And so we're going to skip the relight of that Raptor engine while we're in space. We are going to still proceed with entry, but as we are not able to control the attitude of the ship, as we get into entry, it will enter in whatever orientation it is in at the time, which does not bode well for the ship's heat shield, as we're not going to be essentially aligned the way that we want to do for reentry. So it is definitely coming down. It is definitely heading to the Indian Ocean, but our chances of making it all the way down are pretty slim. So we'll still get as much data as we can. We're still getting live telemetry, live views from Starlink the entire time, and we'll continue to stick with ship as it continues on. We are about 10 minutes away or so until we start getting into entry, and the light will start to pick up as we cross the Indian Ocean, and we'll start to see a little bit more daylight, and we'll, as always, as long as we maintain that comm link, get some plasma on the way in and start to bring the Starship back through the Earth's atmosphere. So that coming up in about 10 minutes or so. So we'll check back in with everybody in a little bit.
So I got to ask this question. I just want to have this discussion. When he says that they've lost attitude control, they've lost RCS attitude control, and they've removed the attitude control indicator from the lower right-hand corner. So we're assuming the ship is still in some type of uncontrolled spin, or as we say, tumble. It didn't look, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it didn't look very drastic, but it's a loss of attitude control. Could they possibly, depending upon the reentry angle of the ship when it hits interface, save it with the fin?
Yeah.
I think it needs
How
to be...
sick would that be? How sick would that be?
My gut is that there'd be some amount of margin or some amount of wiggle room. Like if they don't have attitude control, but the ship does hit the atmosphere in a certain range of attitudes, that the flaps could save it. But I imagine there's a limit to the flaps' control authority, and if you hit the atmosphere, say, backwards or something, there's like even with the flaps, there's nothing you're going to be able to do. Like ideally, you use both systems in concert, and when you run out of control authority on one system, you use the control authority on another. And so when you just have the flaps, maybe there's some situations where they could save you, but you're rolling the dice. Adrian, sorry, I totally steamrolled you on that one.
I feel like it's in theory there should be a bit of a margin, because at least how I understand re-entry, vehicles always orientate to the more heavy side first, and my understanding is the more heavy side should in theory be the TPS side. However, again, if it's completely opposite, you just have a spin.
Is that moving already into sunlight?
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no if we're gonna bet here what's gonna happen in the next few minutes.
Oh no, I'm not betting on this thing making it. I'm not in a million years. No.
I'm gonna say no. It's not gonna recover with the flaps, and given the fuel leak, you gotta think about that relight may not even happen if they were to do an actual controlled re-entry with this ship. It's not gonna get to a landing burn or anything.
The ship is venting. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to be from the QD, maybe? From the quick disconnect?
I wonder if they're still trying. I wonder if they're still trying to get attitude control back.
I mean, there's that famous story of when CRS-7 happened. The Dragon capsule made it all the way to the ocean and impacted on the ocean. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard tell years and years and years ago that there was somebody on console trying to push an update to Dragon or something and get the parachutes to deploy. That could be completely apocryphal. I could be making that up. But
look at that.
The point is they're going to try until they can't try anymore.
More plasma.
Wow.
That plasma?
I'm gonna guess
plasma seems to be a bit on the wrong side of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it's coming in sideways.
Roll 35. I believe
Based on Flight 3, what we saw with Ship 28 tumbling, I'm not expecting this one to recover.
Yeah. Well, they have to overcompensate for the tumble and then stabilize. I could see the fin stabilizing, but overcoming
you can see
roll.
The camera feed getting affected by the plasma.
That's wild.
Excitement was guaranteed. That's
oh, look at that! It's like a party inside of the payload of the engine bay.
I will give them credit to show this.
Yeah. A lot of launch providers, if not all of them, would have cut the feed by now, like minutes and minutes ago.
I think this.
As
long as they have Starlink, we'll see what happens.
I will celebrate every minute I see of this.
Yeah, I mean, what I mean by other, basically when the ship started tumbling, as soon as something was obviously not,
we had lost attitude control of the ship and entered into a spin. The team made the call to do what's called passivate the vehicle, so we're essentially venting all of the remaining propellant overboard, and it's going to make an uncontrolled reentry. Important to note, this is a contingency that is planned for, and we clear the zones in the Indian Ocean where these entries could take place. So we're not going to come down exactly where we would have had nothing happened, but we do clear a tremendous amount of space out in the Indian Ocean in the event that we run into this. We understand that there are always risks, essentially, with these flight tests, with the hardware, but we don't really accept any compromise when it comes to protecting people.
And it is one thing to note is we will actually still re-enter in our planned airspace zone, which is good. That is exactly what we planned for. We do plan for if something does go a little bit off nominal, that we have enough airspace cleared out for situations just like this.
Yeah, re-entry is still just that really critical phase that we need to try and gather as much data, as much information as possible. Is a fully reusable heat shield has never been flown before, history of space flight, and that's something that Starship still has to crack. And so we had a whole range of experiments on this one at this point, and we just started to lose some of our cameras, so it's very possible that we'll start to lose contact with Starship a lot sooner than we would have if it was a nominal reentry. So we are expecting it to break up essentially on its reentry over the Indian Ocean. So not able to do a lot of our on-orbit objectives today, but just the fact that we, got it into space was just a really big moment for a lot of the team.
Yeah, and another thing to note is that Super Heavy did fly for its second flight today. It first flew on Flight 7, and it made it all the way to our shutdown of all the engines and stage separation, getting ship into its suborbital trajectory today. It did ignite its 13 engines, but it did demise at that point. We did plan to fly it back down to Earth at a higher angle of attack, and we do expect it to stress the vehicle a lot more than what we've seen previously. So it's not unexpected that we did lose the booster before we got to the landing.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue to hang out and see if we get any updates on ship. It does look like we might be getting back soon.
Whoa.
There we go. So this is a view essentially on the top part of Starship. You're looking up at the payload bay and towards the nose cone. So views are going to be a little bit scarce potentially, as again we are in essentially a tumble. We had lost that attitude control. So Starlink, when it's able to connect, able to feed this down. We are at the phase where we would expect entry to start within the next minute or so. So we are entering uncontrolled, but again, we're entering into an airspace and a sea space that is cleared and monitored in advance of launch and before we get to this phase.
And with the views that we are able to see, you are seeing a lot of that plasma build up. During reentry, we do expect the vehicle to see about 1,400 degrees Celsius, and there you can see the flap feeling that temperature there, a little bit melting away. But as we expected with the spinning of the vehicle, we are no longer controlling the attitude of the vehicle. So this is now, at this point in the test flight, it is expected to see it begin to demise a little bit on its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, and so we'll stick with it for as long as we're kind of getting any reach back from the ship as it starts to make this reentry. But yeah, so it'll.
Well,
Wow.
there you go. You can see it.
Essentially vent all of your excess propellant over.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
Very
answers the
much
question in terms
shrugging.
of what we were seeing was passivation. They were venting
Yeah.
all of the locks and everything. So that's the
There it
clouds
is.
we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this
There it
patch.
is.
I
Very
love
much.
this patch
I'm
so
so
much.
glad I got one of these. Oh,
We
God.
could see one of the interesting things is the telemetry stopped, and it stopped right around the same sort of altitude and velocity where Ship 28 stopped. So yeah, pretty much. Well, at least this time around, the cameras held for longer, and the video and everything. So
Yeah.
we now know at least a little bit more what Ship 28 experienced. A little bit closer to that. I mean, the video held for longer than I expected.
Adrian, how
And
long?
they got. Oh, good.
How long is the shrug patch available for? Sorry, I was staring.
we're
at
gonna-
Nice that you asked. There's
we're
a
gonna go
countdown
to-
at the top of the
Hang on.
story. Okay.
We're going to go to Ryan for the reentry NOTAM. Ryan, give us an update.
Just give me one moment. Let's just rewind 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
So let's take a look at Australia here, and we've actually can zoom out and see the Indian Ocean. This is the area Dan Hewitt was talking about that has been blocked off. This is the NOTAM, so this is the airspace closure, and we can see here all the way from Madagascar, all the way up to just northwest of Western Australia, Adrian. This entire swath of airspace has been completely closed off. The ship
Thanks,
re-entry
Ryan.
started around this area here, just over Madagascar. Obviously, it was earlier than expected because the vehicle was out of control. Therefore, it's impossible to identify beforehand, like what the drag the vehicle will be experiencing is, because it's tumbling, right? So it's what's actually facing in the direction of travel is different.
If you're just
because
now
it keeps
joining
tumbling.
us, we
Sometimes
did
it's more
have
pointy,
an
sometimes
on-time
it's more
liftoff
flat.
from Starbase Texas at 6:30 p.m. Central Time of the Flight 9 vehicle. We did have some incredibly stressing objectives today. The Super Heavy booster flew for its second flight. It first made its way to take ship all the way up to stage separation, doing it.
Not sure if we're continuing with that or not, but let's continue with the hazard area here. So yeah, the ship would have started re-entry over here. It would have continued a little bit further, but there's no way it would have made it to its original location with at least any precision, but lack of control authority that the ship had, of course, successfully passivated it. So it would have re-entered within this hazard area here, which was already predefined. This was sent out. This is publicly available data. This was sent out to air traffic control. This was sent out to airlines. This was sent out to pilot. Literally anyone on the planet could have seen these hazard zones and avoided them. So this is part of the work that the FAA and SpaceX and all the regulatory. I mean, look at this. This spans 3 different sovereign airspaces right here. This is the international collaboration that has to take place in order to allow test flights like these to happen, and these areas that keep the general public safe, which is of course why they're in place in such a degree. So it would have re-entered in this area. This is what Dan Hewitt was talking about. So fingers crossed, we shouldn't need to worry about any debris ending up in places where it shouldn't end up.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate that. Yeah, they expanded these re-entry NOTAMs, at least the launch NOTAM, than you had mentioned earlier coming across in some of your earlier graphics. So they are expecting this to break up as it comes back into the atmosphere inside those zones, and we'll keep monitoring that situation as it goes forward. And again, Flight 9 made it through SECO, made it through stage separation, and made it through second engine cutoff, and then had a payload bay door issue, so no Starlink deploy. They've decided at that point, it sounds like, guys jump in here, it sounds like that they had a tank problem, like a seam or something in a tank. We don't know that for sure, but they did have some uncontrolled venting. He said inside the ship. He said inside.
Might have been something to do with the transfer tubes.
Downcomers, you mean? Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, they basically just said they struck a leak. So if something's leaking, they lose tank pressure. If they don't have tank pressure, well, that's bad. If you need tank pressure to feed your
why? There we go. I was going to say, why is there again a rocket on the pad fully loaded? There you go. Replays. Replay time.
While we watch the replays, though, I just want to finally, or just tie a bow on what Adrian said. Starship's reaction control system, its RCS, utilizes vents that are venting the propellant tanks for control authority. So other rockets will have systems, whether it's cold compressed gas or small little rocket engines or what have you, and those are what produce the thrust that's used for control authority. Starship is both autogenous